Wow. Amazing. Holy moly. Wow. All of those things apply to this man right here, C.J. Stroud. Yeah. I mean, can we talk about how insane of a game this man had? 5 touchdowns, 470 yards, 147.8 rating, 30 of 42, 0 goose egg interceptions. This man, 0 interceptions for C.J. Stroud. He is quickly becoming one of the best quarterbacks in the entire NFL, shaking off that stigma of Ohio State quarterbacks are not good. I don't know who said that in the past, but this man, C.J. Stroud, he's proven all the haters wrong this season. So I want to hear from you. Texans fans, I want to hear from you right now. What is one word to describe how C.J. Stroud has played this season? Give me one word down in the comment section. I'll be looking. Get down in there and give me your one word to describe C.J. Stroud. Yeah! Coming up, we have the latest news and rumors after a crazy 39-37 victory over the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. I mean, this game had it all. It had all the dramatics, all the late game surprising plays that the Texans had, and the Texans came out on top. I mean, what a year this team has had under DeMeco Ryans. No quit, all fight from this Texans team. Absolutely incredible. But before we get into anything else, today we got to talk a little bit about the Texans' injuries that happened during this game. First of all, Jimmie Ward, who started the year out on the injury report for the Texans, having another injury. Injured his hamstring up against the Buccaneers. Not a good sign. One of the captains of this defense, one of the best players on this defense, Jimmie Ward, exited the game. Yet to see whether he'll play against the Bengals this next week, but a key injury on the defense. And another one on top of that, MJ Stewart injured his shoulder up against the Buccaneers. Another safety. So this Texans secondary just taking blow after blow like they're Rocky up against Drago in that third movie. They're just getting into the ringer right now. And that's why you got to subscribe to Texans Today, because no matter what happens with this team, injuries, crazy games, anything going on around the Houston Texans, this is your place to be right here. So go down and hit that sub button. Go to youtube.com/TexansTV. Hey, if you're already subbed, send it to a couple friends back. Hey, this crazy guy named Jeremy Chuggs covers the Texans better than anybody on YouTube. That's why you got to hit that sub button. Now, the reason why I know a lot of you clicked into this video was we're going to be discussing Kaimi Fairbairn, the Texans kicker. He injured his quad up against the Buccaneers, did not return, which led to Ogunbowale kicking a crucial field goal. The Texans won 39-37. Ogunbowale kicked a field goal. That was the difference maker in this entire game. I mean, if he doesn't make that, do the Texans even win this game? I don't know, but a clutch kick by Ogunbowale, which his sister plays in the WNBA, athletic family. A lot of athletic genes in that family. But obviously, the Texans aren't going to go forward throughout the season with Ogunbowale. They're going to need a backup plan if Fairbairn isn't able to go this next week up against the Cincinnati Bengals. Currently, no players on the practice squad at the kicker position. So coming up, I'm going to be looking at some guys that the Texans could sign to replace Fairbairn if he's out maybe 1, 2, even more weeks during the season. But I wouldn't be able to do today's show if it wasn't for our amazing sponsor, Prize Picks. It's daily fantasy sports made easy, folks. And it's as easy as this. You choose 2 or more players from any sport. You pick more or less on their projected stats, and then you choose either your flex option or your power play. Your flex, it's a little bit more safer, that a little bit less of a payout. And the power play, that's you pushing all your chips into the center saying, hey, these picks, they are incredible. With basketball season here, you can now pick combo projections across football and basketball from the Specials League, a league created specifically for combo projections that includes 2 or more players from different sports or leagues. For example, LeBron James plus Michigan superstar Nico Collins at 10.5 combo of 3 points made and receptions. Give me that all day long. Testing my skills on Prize Picks this football season is the most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. And it doesn't have to stop at football. You can also do basketball, tennis. It's amazing. It's the best way to play daily fantasy sports. And you can turn $10 into $250 with just a few taps. And this week, after an incredible week, what are you going with? Are you going with more or less than 248.5 pass yards for C.J. Stroud against the Cincinnati Bengals? Give me more or less. What do you think? Play Prize Picks with me and let me know where you're doing. Put your money where your mouth is by going to prizepicks.com/CLNS. Use code CLNS for a $100 deposit match. I want to know. I'm going to be making this pick later on. I think I'm going more. I'm going more on the 248.5 pass yards for Stroud because life's too short to take the less. Whatever you do, more or less, do it with Prize Picks today. Now, kickers Houston could sign. I'm going to be honest with you right now. This list isn't going to be amazing. It's not going to knock your socks off because we're already halfway through the NFL season. These guys, they're not on a team for a reason. They're serviceable, but they're not going to be the best kickers out there. First on the list. These names you probably heard before. Mason Crosby, an older kicker, longtime kicker for the Green Bay Packers. Could he, come out of he's not in retirement yet, but his semi-retirement, he hasn't played this whole season. Could he come out of retirement and play for the Houston Texans? That could be an option for Houston if Fairbairn isn't able to come back. And a guy we all know, a guy we all love, Fat Randy Bullock. Do the Texans sign Randy Bullock? He's on the Giants practice squad, and he was elevated to their active roster for this past week. But if the player's on the practice squad for another team, the Texans can still sign that player. That just means that he's got to be on the Texans active roster for 4 weeks. So if they decide to sign Randy Bullock or another player from a practice squad, then that means that Randy Bullock will have to be on the Texans active roster for 4 weeks at least. So maybe some Fat Randy in H-Town? Maybe. I don't know. Zay Gonzalez is another option for the Houston Texans. The name you've heard before, Zay Gonzalez. Not the right pick there, but it's okay. Zay Gonzalez could be another option for the Houston Texans if they're looking for a kicker. A pretty decent option. He's had his ups, he's had his downs, but at the end of the day, if the Texans are going to sign a kicker, they're just looking for somebody who can make extra points or within 35-yard field goals. You're not looking for somebody who's going to, you're going to trot out there a 55-plus yard field goal. None of these guys, I would say, is in that range. But, if you can get a guy who, you score a touchdown, you feel comfortable kicking that extra point, I think that's a decent option. Just like this next guy who, producer Coop on the fly. That's why he's one of the best in the biz. Making sure Zay Gonzalez's pretty face is up there. Robbie Gould, he's an option who, old reliable. He's been there. He's done that. He's one of the older guys along with Mason Crosby on this list. Robbie Gould is a guy that you sign and you're like, okay, this guy's going to kick some extra points for us. We know that he can kick some extra points, and I trust that he can go out there and maybe kick a 35 and 30-yard field goal. And another name on this list, which I know I said before, none of these guys you're trotting out there for 55-plus yard field goals. This might be the only guy who I trust more on 55-plus yard field goals than extra points. If the Texans are saying, hey, I want to roll the dice with this guy, maybe go with Brett Maher. Go ask a Cowboys fan what they think about Brett Maher. They'll let you know a little bit about him. He has an absolute cannon of a leg. The consistency's not there, though. I'd be more happy with one of these guys, to be honest, than Brett Maher, famously missing a ton of extra points in the Cowboys postseason last year. Four extra point field goals for Brett Maher that he missed last year. So maybe you trust him to kick a 60-yarder more than you do an extra point. But at the end of the day, the Texans need to sign somebody if Fairbairn's not going to go out there. You can't trot out Ogunbowale. He's not going to be your kicker. You need an actual kicker. I know Tom Downey of the Cowboys Report says kickers aren't people, but I'm here to tell you they are. There are people. And the Texans, they need one of those people coming up this weekend up against the Cincinnati Bengals. If you made it to the end of today's show, you're a real one, and I appreciate you. H-Town, hold it down. Go down and spam those H's in the comment section if you made it to the end of today's video so I know who the real ones are. And until next time, let's go Texans.